This video we're going to show the integration between BigFix and QRadar. We start by showing this machine in here, which is a Windows 7 system which has some vulnerabilities that we are going to be exploit by attacking it from this machine. So let's first take a look at this Windows 7 machine. As we see here, in this Windows machine, we have the BigFix client installed, taking around 2-3% of CPU and less than 8 megabytes of memory. And this machine is going to be compromised by going into a browser and simply loading a URL. We're going to do that after we show you the machine we're attacking this with. So the exploit that we're going to take advantage of is Microsoft 14064, which is equivalent to the CVE 2014-6332. We see the commands that we put here in Kali, but basically by just going into that Kali address and on port 80 and just going into the root, that's what we specify the URI path as use the slash, the machine is going to be compromised. Here we have the console of the IPS, and we're gonna just look at the IPS events, and we see that I haven't used these machines in February 25th. So here's the layout. This is the Kali machine doing the attack. The IPS is in simulated blocking, so it's not actually blocking, but it's detecting the attacks. The attacks are sent, we send the logs, and actually the flows, but we are only using the logs in here, into QRadar. QRadar has scanned this machine using the QVN scanner, and is aware of all the vulnerabilities that exist on that particular machine. So when we attack the machine from Kali, the IPS is going to detect that, is going to inform QRadar, who knows that that vulnerability is exploitable, and is going to launch an offense. Here in QRadar Vulnerability Manager, we see that we use a patch scan. This is a scan profile that we actually use to scan that Windows 7 machine. We can actually take a look at the scan profile that we use, and it's just a patch scan, and we are targeting only this particular machine, and this is a credential scan, by the way. Here in QVM we have a safe search for looking at all the vulnerabilities of that Windows box that we got to know because of the scan. And there are, more than 1,400 vulnerabilities in there. And if we sort them by risk score, we see that the highest score that we get is 8.8. And the risk score in QVM begins with the CVSS severity level, and then we, using Risk Manager, can actually bring that value up or down based on some policies. And in here we can see that in Risk Manager there is a ton of very good things that we can use policies to alert us. High risk vulnerabilities, SQL injection vulnerabilities, when the IPS detects SQL injection traffic, unsupported protocols. As you can see, there is a gazillion number of policies that we are looking in here, risky protocols, but we created one for the sake of this demonstration. This one is called Vulnerabilities Being Exploited, and basically is going to detect when an attack is done on a safe search called Exploited Vulnerability. We also, when we find that particular vulnerability, when I click here in the monitor section, we see that when we find such a case that a vulnerability gets exploited, we actually increase 100% the risk score. So that 8.1 risk score that we saw here in QVM, those, if we were to exploit this 8.8 vulnerability, is going to be, double the size. So we're going to be exploiting one that is actually 8.1, and we see that the risk score of it is going to go to 16.2 to highlight the importance of it. And here is a search that we use in combination with that policy. It should be here, exploited vulnerabilities. Here it is, which basically is going to look for days since exploit attempt greater than 0. And this is nothing more than one of the many parameters that you can use in QVM to actually search and sort your vulnerabilities in order of importance. So let me quickly show you that. Here there are very many great parameters for you to check on the sort your vulnerability according to your specific environment, and this is the one that we use in days since exploit attempt. We also have a BigFix server as part of this demonstration. This actually is the one that talks to the BigFix agent that we showed you before, and we're going to see that from the BigFix perspective, we saw already that in QRadar finds more than 1,400 things that can be vulnerabilities, because it's a deep scanner. On the BigFix side, we're going to see what is it that we have set up for this integration first, and also how this integration can help you prioritize your vulnerabilities from the BigFix side. In here we have the BigFix console with the new dashboard, this one called Manage Vulnerable Computer. This is part of the integration. There are videos on the web that I created that show you how you set up this integration. But this is a dashboard that shows you what QRadar is telling you that is important, is prioritized, it has a high priority, has been prioritized for you to take care of right away. And there's nothing in here because we haven't run any attack, we haven't begin using this integration just yet. If we see here from the traditional view on BigFix, that machine, which is Win 7, there are how many? 340 fixlets and tasks that are relevant. And where do I start? We're going to see that this integration is going to tell BigFix, hey BigFix, this one is being exploited. Please take care of it right away. The way the integration works is after every scan is finished, then around 15 minutes, it's a time that you can set, the results of that scan get sent to BigFix. Now, we're not going to use it that way because we only want to send to BigFix in this particular scenario only those vulnerabilities that we find being relevant. So here I am in this directory in QRadar. I log into the QRadar console, and we are at this directory, and I'm going to show you this file, which is adapter properties, which is the one that we use to configure some of those parameters. So this source data delay is that every 5 minutes the integration is going to look for results of a new scan and send those into the BigFix new dashboard. But the important thing in here is this parameter, the risk score 10.1. What we did in here is actually tell QRadar, hey, only those vulnerabilities are 5.1, that start with a CVSS of 5.1, and Risk Manager finds a reason of, to alert BigFix about it because they are being exploited. Then when that gets increased, then it's going to be above 10.1. And basically what we are telling here in the integration is everything that is above 10.1, please send it to the new dashboard in. So now we are ready to launch the attack. We have the log activity. We have looking at everything that is interactively that goes into the Win 7 machine, which is that .03 machine. We have the Kali machine in the background this vulnerable Windows machine here in the foreground, and by just clicking on a link that will take me to that URL, which is the URL of Kali, we get the attack succeed. If we see here in the Kali console, we have a session open. That machine is ours. We can do with that machine whatever we want. But that attack didn't go unnoticed. Here we are looking at the logs of the IPS, and we see that it's detecting that attack. Today is April 9th, and is detecting that such attack happened, and those logs were actually sent to QRadar. And if we see in here, yep, here sure enough, those logs actually arrive, were sent effectively to QRadar about those vulnerabilities being exploited. Also in the offenses tab, we see that an offense fired because that vulnerability was detected to be exploited. Now we're going to wait until the policy in Risk Manager gets actually evaluated and actually increases that risk score. So we have a search here that looks for that specific vulnerability that we are exploiting, 2014-6632, which, by the way, it is a 0-day, one of the 0 days vulnerabilities that the X-Force put in the IPSs. So that's what I chose this one as a nice example. And so we expect this risk score to automatically be increased from 8.1 into 16.2 after that policy gets evaluated, and should trigger on the fact that it detected that we exploited this vulnerability. After the policy, the Risk Manager policy was evaluated, we see that actually it triggered an offense on the same name of the policy that we created. We can see that here. In fact, we can actually display the rule, and it's a Risk Manager question that we actually created. Now, what we can do is, as I said before, the events are sent to BigFix automatically only when a scan finishes. So we can do several things in here. We could, for example, trigger a scan when this offense actually fires, but that will take a long time for that offense, for that scanner to finish. Or we can actually execute a custom action, and we have actually a custom action here called send to BigFix. How we set that up? We actually set that up by going into the admin console and running a script. I want to show you that. Custom actions. By running a script called run scan reader.sh. We can actually even run this script here. So I'm here again in the QRadar console from the command line, and actually, if we can see, we are in the config directory. We're gonna go into the bin subdirectory. Let me show you see the path, and in here we have that particular script called run scan reader.sh, and we execute that script by passing the scan profile. That this is the scan profile that I showed you before, and what is the last, or the second to last scan. We're going to take just the very last one, which actually is going to have the updated results of the updated vulnerabilities. So we did that. Typically, we need to wait that those 5 minutes that I showed you in the configuration file before. In fact, we just still have it here. That delay equals 5, meaning that every 5 minutes, the integration is going to look for a patch scan to be sent to the BigFix console. So let's wait a little bit until that happens. just occurred to me that, again, as we wait for it, when we execute the same search that we have looking for that particular vulnerability, we see that that vulnerability was actually increased from 8.1 to 6.2. In fact, if we were to look at all the vulnerabilities on the Win7 machine, if we sort them by risk score, we see those coming to the top. So after a while, we see in the BigFix new dashboard that those two vulnerabilities came because they were above the threshold. Now from here, we can just select a particular vulnerability. We need to scroll down here, and it shows the relevant fixlet. There's one fixlet that is relevant. We actually take the default action, and that takes us to the standard view in BigFix for fixing that vulnerability. We select the computer, which is the Win7 machine, click OK, and the process begins. So the download has been cached, it's complete, it's ready, and it's progressing. Let's pause this and wait until the patch gets fully applied. We didn't have to wait long for it. Now the patch has been applied and we need to reboot the machine, so let us do that now. So let's reboot the machine. Oops. Well, I shut it down. Let me pause the recording while I bring it up. Is rebooted. Pretty soon the BigFix server should sense that and should indicate that the patch is fully applied. So we see that now BigFix reports that the patch is fully applied. Back to the new dashboard, and we can do the same with the other fixlet, and in here it's been actually applied before, so there's no action to be actually taken. In fact, if we click here on the computer back on the fixlet, we see that there's no action to be taken because it was already completed with the previous patch.